Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video. In today's video I'm going to go over the catalog flashback for the Cinco de Mayo weekend in May 2018 on Roblox. So yeah, I'll start it. So if you don't know what the catalog flashback series is, it's pretty much a series where I go over past catalog update or release of items just for nostalgia's sake because it's fun to look back at some of the things that have happened in Roblox's past and how they have changed from then till now. And as it is almost Cinco de Mayo, I think it is fitting to cover a weekend of releases relating to Cinco de Mayo that Roblox did a couple of years ago when they were still releasing new items related to a theme, with the theme that this weekend had being Cinco de Mayo. So over here we do have a group of new items that did release during this weekend almost a decade ago. The first item here was the Piñata Shades, which released for 300 Robux. The next item here was the Mariachi Back Guitar, which released for 250 Robux. Next was the Pom Pom Sombrero, which released for 400 Robux. And then we also got a new gear here, which is the Piñata Mount, which released for 600 Robux. So first up right over here, the Piñata Shades. These actually look pretty cool. You can definitely tell by the texture here that it is meant to resemble a piñata with a rainbow color scheme, so definitely a pretty cool item. I think unfortunately what is holding it back is the price, as it is on the more expensive side for a pair of shades like this. So 300 Robux is definitely quite a bit, which is definitely why it didn't do as well as some of the other shades that we've had released over the years. So it only has a little bit above 1,000 favorites, which is not a lot compared to a lot of other shades. So pretty unfortunate that it didn't do that great in terms of popularity, but it's still a pretty decent item that is still on sale for its original price. So if you didn't know about it when it released back then, it is still here as an on sale item. That is still pretty cool and one that you can still purchase to this day. The next item here was the Mariachi Back Guitar. This one actually looks pretty cool. It has a very interesting design here on the front, sporting the Mexico flag colors on it with the red, white, and green. So definitely a pretty cool addition there to this guitar, and definitely makes it stand out compared to a lot of the other regular guitar items. It also isn't too bad in terms of a price. 250 Robux for a back item is not too bad, so it is cheaper than the Shades item, and it did pretty well too. It has over 7,000 favorites, so definitely a pretty cool item here, and a pretty nice on sale item that you can still purchase today. Next up right over here, the Pom Pom Sombrero. This one also looks pretty cool. It has this kind of red weaving texture on it, so definitely pretty interesting. I think the pom-poms around the hat is actually pretty interesting too. Definitely makes it stand out quite a bit compared to a lot of the other sombrero items. In terms of the price, it is still around 400 Robux. It seems to be a little bit higher or a little bit lower depending on your location. So for me it is a bit higher, but it might be a bit lower for you. So still a pretty cool item. Once again, a little bit more on the expensive side, but it's still a pretty cool sombrero here that is still purchasable today for pretty close to its original price. And the next item here is the Piñata Mount. This is a pretty colorful looking piñata here, kind of resembling a horse. This one also did pretty well, has almost 10,000 favorites, which is pretty good for a gear item, so definitely a pretty nice item here. It is on the more expensive side, but a lot of gears are pretty expensive, so it doesn't make sense when you compare it to a lot of the other gear items. But still, it's definitely a pretty cool item and definitely very vibrant in terms of its colors, which definitely makes it stand out compared to a lot of the other items here. So definitely a pretty cool new release as a part of this weekend. Next up right over here, we did actually get a new item that was not themed after Cinco de Mayo. We did get the RoboCap, which released for 75 Robux. We did also get two animal themed items with the Sombrero Guinea Pig Shoulder Friend, which released for 200 Robux, and the Sombrero Dog, which released for 250 Robux. And the last two items of this weekend were the Cactus Pauldrons, which released for 600 Robux, as well as the Jalapeno Business Shades, which released for 250 Robux. So right over here, the RoboCap. This is actually a pretty interesting looking item. Definitely a very creative take on a regular cap, making it robotic themed. It's not really clear as to why it actually released during this weekend specifically, given that none of the other items were robot themes, but still a pretty cool item, although it is a bit random to have been released as a part of this weekend. It was released for 75 Robux, but of course with the hat accessory price floor update, it is probably a bit more now, so it's unfortunate that it is not as cheap as it was before, but still a pretty cool item. Did not do that great, has only a little bit above 2,000 favorites, so pretty unfortunate that it's not super popular, but definitely a pretty cool looking item and definitely a very creative take on a regular cap. Now the next two here are actually pretty interesting. We do have the Sombrero Guinea Pig Shoulder Friend, as well as the Sombrero Dog. And these two are actually interesting because they didn't actually release with any indicator that they would go off sale. However, after this weekend passed, a few days later, they actually ended up going both off sale when there was no indication that they would. And back then, Roblox had a feature where a limited time item would have a timer on it that would indicate that it would be going off sale at some point. However, these two didn't actually have that timer, yet they still went off sale. And this is something that Roblox did kind of often for a lot of these holidays, especially for 4th of July. They did this quite often too, so So a lot of these kind of holiday themed items just ended up going off sale without any indication that they would. So both of these ended up going off sale shortly after this weekend had passed. However, the sombrero dog actually did return the following year. So if anybody missed it during 2018, you were able to get it the following year in 2019 for a limited time, and then it went back off sale once again. So both of these are currently off sale. First up, the sombrero guinea pig shoulder friend. This one actually is very cute. It is a kind of happy looking guinea pig with the mini sombrero on top. So definitely a pretty cool item here. It has around 2,500 owners, so not the rarest thing in the world, but still a pretty cute item here, and definitely fitting for the Cinco de Mayo holiday. And the sombrero dog here, this one also is pretty cool. I think this hat is definitely really fun, and how big it is definitely makes it stand out quite a lot compared to a lot of other items, so definitely pretty cool one here. This one has around 8,000 owners, so definitely the more common of the two items, but still a pretty cool duo of animal themed items for the holiday here. Next up right over here, we do have the cactus pauldrons. These also do look pretty cool. They did release for 600 Robux, which is pretty expensive, but once again, similar to the other items, pauldrons do release for typically more than usual, so 600 is in line with a lot of the other pauldron items. This one does look pretty cool though, and you can definitely make a very unique outfit if you do have other cactus themed items. It can definitely work for kind of a cactus warrior look, so definitely a pretty cool item here, and unfortunately didn't do that well in terms of how popular it is, but still a pretty cool item here, and definitely very unique in terms of the pauldrons that we do have. And the last new item here that we got for this weekend were the jalapeno business shades. These actually have very few favorites. They are one of the rarest on sale items currently because it didn't sell that well, so if you're looking for a rare thing that is still on sale, it is this item. It is, I think it's just a random theme, unfortunately, which didn't make it do that well. You can see there were some jalapenos on the side and also on the top, and it's definitely not the worst looking item, but it is kind of hard to make it fit with an outfit, which is why it didn't do that great when it originally released 8 years ago. It is also on the more expensive side, similar to the pinata shades, as this one is 250 Robux, so it's a bit cheaper, but unfortunately did not do that great. So still a pretty decent item, and one that is still on sale to this day. So those were the releases for this weekend in May of 2018. I think it was definitely a pretty nice weekend here to celebrate the Cinco de Mayo holiday, and we got some nice items here that matched pretty well, including 2 limited time items, as well as some nice on sale accessories that are still available for purchase today. So definitely a pretty cool weekend here if you were around at this time on Roblox and you got to see these actually release. But yeah, that is this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!